In my last few videos, I've done a lot of reharmonization in a jazzy gospel style. And I've been breaking down those reharmonizations using my chord scale charts. One of the chord scale charts that keeps coming up, which I've gotten a lot of questions about in the comments, is my harmonic minor series right here. So on the screen, I have my C harmonic minor chart, and a lot of you have been asking, why harmonic minor? By the way, if you don't have these charts already, you can get them for free on the screen and in the description below. So before we talk about the scale, let's go back to the basics, a scale that I'm sure you are familiar with, and that's the C major scale, or any major scale for that matter. The most fundamental chord progression in functional harmony, going back 300, 400 years ago, is the 5-to-1 cadence, this kind of a sound. Now that's a G major chord going to a C major chord. It's a very basic sound when I play it like that, but I can also play it like this, which is essentially the same thing. It's a 5 chord going to a 1 chord. As you can see here, the 5 chord in C major is, there's the 5 chord there, there's a G7. We don't have to put 7s on these chords, but because I do a lot of jazz music and R&B music, generally those chords have 7s on them, which is why I added them to my charts, but just as well to leave the 7 out. So essentially it's a 5 chord going to a 1 chord. So that's going to be G7 going to C major 7 if you're doing a jazzier version, or if you're keeping it simple, G major going to C major, 5-to-1. Tension, resolution, a sound we're all very familiar with. Now, here's the thing. If we were to go to a minor scale, like let's say instead of C major, we do the C minor scale, which is sometimes referred to as C natural minor. We've got a flat 3, a flat 6, and a flat 7. If you've ever heard of the relative minor scale, that's what this is here. Typically though, the way that scale is taught, if we go back to C major, you will take the C major scale, but instead of starting it on C like this, you'll start that same set of notes but on an A, which gives you A natural minor. We've got the flat 3, the flat 6, and the flat 7 in the context of A. And if we do the same thing I did before, where I play the 5-1 cadence, the chords that we end up with are G minor or G minor 7 going to 1, C minor or C minor 7. We've got 5-to-1. Now that's not a bad sound, but it doesn't have the same pull that the G major does going to, say, that C major that we did before, this sound. So check out this modification, and maybe I should write these chords out separately just so you can see what I'm talking about here more clearly. We do G minor to C minor. That's 5 going to 1. Sounds like this. Cool. Sounds fine. But if we want to increase that sense of pull, that sense of a chord leading to another, we can, instead of playing a G minor, play a G major and make this G major as a 5 chord going to a minor 1 chord. Sounds like this. Here was the previous version. And then with the major 5 chord, the G major. So that's where the harmonic minor scale comes from. As you can see, C harmonic minor has the B natural right in here. And that B natural, if you look at it in this column right here, in my 5 chord column, B is the 3rd of a G chord or a G7 chord. So that's where that harmonic minor scale comes into play. It's literally the scale that helps us create the harmony the chords that we want to get that pull from the 5 chord to the 1 chord. The other cool thing about this harmonic minor scale is that it yields a flat 9 on our dominant chord. What do I mean by that? Well, if we take a look at our 5 chord here, right in this column, there's our 5-7 chord. We've got a G7. And if we play our 1, we've got G there. B is our 3rd. D is our 5. And F is our 7. Well, if we go to a 9, which is also like the 2, what note is that? It's an A flat. And that A flat is our flat 9, which is a very jazzy, soulful chord, has a lot of tension in it. And when you hear sounds like this, that extra crunch, that's an A flat, the flat 9 resolving down to, in this case, G, which is the 5 of either C major 7, or if you're going to a minor chord. Check out this chord progression right here. We'll do one more example. Take a basic 2-5-1, D minor 7, G7, C major 7. And let's say we want to set up this D minor 7 chord with its corresponding 5 chord. First of all, we need to think in terms of D minor because we're setting up the D minor. So we're kind of stepping outside of our home key, which is C major, and putting ourselves in the world of D minor. So what scale are we going to derive our chord from? We're going to use the D harmonic minor scale. So if we go to D harmonic minor, we can look at the 5 chord right here. There's our 5 chord. It's an A7 because we have an A. There's our C sharp. That's our leading tone. It's a half step below our 1, essentially, which is D. And it gives us this A7 chord or A major chord. We're going to use A7 because we're doing a jazzier sound here. So we have an E and a G, and that's going to give us A7. If we wanted to add that 9 on there, remember 9 is like a 2. What is that note? It's a B flat, which gives us an A7 flat 9 chord. So if we go back to our chord progression, we can put in an A7, maybe with that flat 9, and that's how you get this sound. I'll start with the C major 7 chord, then go to A7 with the flat 9, to a D minor 7, G7, to a C major 7. One more time, A7 flat 9. You can hear how this resolves nicely to D minor 7, and then G7, C major 7. So what do we have here to come full circle? We've got our 5-1, 5-1 relationship. As we talked about earlier, the G7 is the 5 going to C major 7, which is the 1. And then this D minor 7, yes, it's the 2 chord in the context of C major, but we can also think of it as this temporary 1 chord. And if we do so, then we have to go to our D harmonic minor scale because that's going to give us the 5 chord, the corresponding 5 chord, which is A7 or A7 flat 9, and that leads us into the D minor. Long story short, when you are approaching a minor chord and you want to set it up with the corresponding 5 chord, you need to reach for that harmonic minor scale because that's going to give you the 5 chord that has that leading tone, in this case, the C sharp, that leads up to the D. There's the C sharp, which resolves to the D. If I don't have that C sharp there, and I just use, say, an A minor 7 chord, it's not going to sound bad. It's just not going to have that same pull. And you end up with this sound. That's fine. But if you want more of a jazzy sound, frankly, you get this. Also, when you reach for that harmonic minor scale to create your chords, you get this really cool substitution for the 5 chord, which is the 7 chord. The the 7 diminished 7 chord. In this case, when we're going to a D minor, we've got a C sharp diminished 7 chord, and it's a great substitute for the 5 chord because of all of the shared notes between the two. So as you can see, we've got a C sharp, we've got a C sharp, we've got an E and an E, a G and a G. So that harmonic minor scale is fundamental to approaching a minor chord and getting that pull, that tension and release that is so satisfying. But we'll leave it there for now. If you haven't already, make sure to download these chord scale charts. They make understanding this music theory so much easier. And when you download them, you get them in all 12 keys in the major scales, minor, natural minor, harmonic minor, even melodic minor, which is another scale we can talk about in a later video. But we'll leave it there for now. If you want to catch another video where I dig into more advanced harmony, click on this one right here, and I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.